Hi, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. In today's podcast, I want to talk about forgiveness, not giving forgiveness, but actually asking for forgiveness from other people. You don't have to do this literally if you don't want to, but it's actually really important that you start to ask for forgiveness for others because that's actually part of the process. So we forgive others and we forgive ourselves, and then we ask for forgiveness. We would have done things in the past that we didn't even know we upset people or hurt their feelings, or perhaps we did things on purpose and upset people and hurt their feelings. But it doesn't really matter which way it goes. It's part of it's a circle. So forgiving people is one thing, but if you don't ask others for forgiveness, it doesn't balance the books. That's what I'm trying to say today. It can be hard to do this because if you're asking for forgiveness, sometimes you know what you did wrong, and it can be difficult to humble yourself, put your ego aside and ask for them to forgive you because they can say no, of course. The other thing is that when we ask for forgiveness from others, we're actually taking responsibility for what we did. And I think the third area is we're asking forgiveness for anything we did that we don't know we did wrong. There are a lot of things that we do that upset other people, that hurt other people, that make other people angry. It might be a small comment or a gesture, or a lack of attention when we should have given attention, or just something we say which we thought was telling them the truth, but they hear it in a different way. And when you start asking others to forgive you, it actually really starts to complete the cycle of forgiveness. The first thing is you can ask them to forgive you directly if you know you've done something that you shouldn't have, or you're trying to make the relationship bigger and better. By asking forgiveness, you put yourself almost in a secondary position of power, but it actually enables the relationship to go forward. I've done it with some of my family. There were things that I did not realising at the time the damage they caused, and I could have stopped certain things, and I didn't probably stop them early enough. And so I went to actually 3 different people in my family and asked that they forgive me for the way I probably didn't act quickly enough. It was a hard thing to do and I was very emotional, but it actually addressed the issue in a really good way. And then they could go away and feel that we'd completed that little cycle of what happened. It was a long time ago, but that didn't make any difference. It was still a good thing to do. I feel that when we ask for forgiveness from other people, we also teach them how to ask for forgiveness. Because a lot of people don't do this. They won't ask to be forgiven. They might say, oh, I'm sorry, and, yeah, well, whatever, and talk like that, but that's actually not asking for forgiveness. The other thing you can do is you can write to them. You can email them, text them. If you can't do it face-to-face, you can just do it in a little bit of with an interface like that and ask them to forgive you. It's not about them forgiving you as much as you asking for it. If they forgive you, that's like the icing on the cake. But not all, everyone's in that place. And sometimes when you talk to them like this, they can't do it straight away. They have to wait, process it, and then they can do it. I think for forgiveness is a really big act. I think it's a big act. If the person that you want to ask forgiveness for is not with you or estranged, or maybe they've died, you can still do the same process. You just do it telepathically. So you ask them to forgive you for anything they've done that you've done to hurt them or upset them. Or if you know what the particular incident was, you ask for forgiveness around that. It's important to do this because it's a part of us taking ownership of what we've done, and also it's part of concluding the lesson, and maybe we won't do that again, which would be a good thing. So see if you can do this, particularly right now. It's a good time to do a cleanse and to clear things out. It's not human to ask for forgiveness, really. It's something that many people balk at, and people who've got a lot of ego won't do it, and people who don't want to take responsibility won't want to do it. But that's a sign that it's very necessary to do. We do incidentally injure other people. We do upset them and hurt them, and a lot of people won't say anything, but they harbour it, and they have resentment toward us or the situation. And by asking for forgiveness, that resentment and that anger and that hurt can be released. They might not want to say back that they accept it, but that's not what the point is, because on the soul level, we're doing this vibrationally, So our soul is saying to their soul for forgiveness, and then the next life, that part is actually done, because whatever we do in this life affects all the other lives that we have. Some of this could also be past life, that we have been abusive with them in other lives, and now this life we're trying to be abusive again, and then we learn that we need to stop doing it and ask them to forgive. And we're almost forgiving for all the past lives that we've been a pain to live with or whatever, or difficult. It's a growth as well on a personal level. It's a growth to ask for forgiveness. The next part that's important is to ask for forgiveness for yourself, because when you can't forgive yourselves, you usually can't forgive other people. And so you need to ask that you get forgiveness for yourself. And the way we do this is we realise we did wrong, we realise we could have done it better than we've done it, and we ask for forgiveness during that time. Forgiving ourselves is also a very loving thing to do. It's a form of love, conditional love of ourselves, that we say we didn't do it exactly right and we wish we could have done it better, but next time around we'll try and improve it. So it's a loving thing to do for ourselves. It's also a loving thing to do for other people, of course, but for ourselves it's even greater love, because we'll usually be very critical of ourselves and always be asking ourselves why we didn't, we could have done this better, and why didn't you do that better. So we can be quite critical of ourselves. If you are critical of other people and a little bit judgmental, you'll probably find you're quite critical of yourself. The process of forgiving yourself is actually quite massive for you, because you're actually letting yourself off the hook for all the crappy things that you said or did, or the things you didn't actually do. And that's the thing to address. It's sometimes what we didn't do, when we were absent, when we avoided it, when we stayed away, when we should have done things and we didn't do. And that's also to ask for forgiveness for that. A lot of people don't think about that one, but it's actually what we didn't do, our resistance or our anger and hurt, which got in the way and we wouldn't do it. And that we ask for forgiveness for those times when we weren't as kind and loving and stepping forward and helping and supportive as we should have been. And we ask that we forgive ourselves for that. And in doing that, when other people now do that to us on purpose or unintentionally, we will more easily forgive them. Forgiveness is a great act of love. It's a great act of unconditional love, because when we love people conditionally and ourselves conditionally, we are less likely to forgive, because we have all the rules and regulations and we withdraw love, etc., etc., and play all these stupid games. But when we love someone unconditionally, we still love them through the whole process, and we love ourselves through the process, and we forgive along the way. I remember when I was going on a drive and my husband and we were going through the hills, and there was a sign outside a church and it said something like, the only reason people can stay together in long relationships is because they forgive one another. And I thought that was really true, because there's so many things that can go wrong in a long-term relationship, and sometimes even a short-term relationship, that if we didn't forgive people, we couldn't move on to the next part of the relationship, because we'd be harbouring things. And that's another aspect to understand, that when we don't forgive ourselves or others, or are forgiven by them, everyone holds a lot of resentment, and resentment is not a very good emotion. I think it causes illness. It's also a good way to let go of your resentment and your anger and your hate towards people, when you hate what they've done and you won't forgive them. It's a rightful feeling, but it's something it's also transient. We can actually let that go and then forgive. The most beautiful one is when we ask for forgiveness from people who have passed. I think that's really quite wonderful, because having seen in hindsight the situation now, we maybe didn't act so well when we could have acted better. And even in relationships where it's been one person being much, much more difficult than the other, there would still be of our part in that, and how we maybe, I don't know, flamed the fire a little bit when there were fights. Do this work, it's a powerful energetic work to do, because it shifts a lot of old energy, and it also clears a lot of things and obstacles, because unforgiveness, as I call it, is a big obstacle in relationships, and it has a lot to do with ego and pride, and we're not wanting to let them have the power, or always about being right and all these human things, but it actually doesn't further us on a spiritual level or growth level. And When I have people who are resistant during a reading, when I talk to them about forgiveness of themselves, of others, and asking for it, I often say to them, well, what would your God do? Or what would your guides do? Would they forgive? And the answer is always going to be yes. And I think that's your go-to point. Just ask from your spiritual, religious point of view, what would that entity or spirit do? And you will find they would always forgive. It's just our humanness that gets in the way. Being human can actually be quite a stumbling block down here on a spiritual level. If you go this Christmas, do a meditation and forgive yourself, forgive others, and ask for forgiveness of various people that you'd like to clear the slate with. I'm wishing you lots of love and light.